Welcome to the Dirty Lazy Girl podcast. I'm Stephanie Laska, best-selling author and creator of Dirty Lazy Keto.
And I'm Tamara Snezik, professor of sociology. We believe there are many paths, often unconventional, to achieve your goals. But we get stuck thinking we have to follow experts and fixed set of rules.
Well, as the leader of the Dirty Lazy Keto Facebook support group with over 200,000 members, I see people are hungry for a fresh approach, not just for weight loss, but to help live their very best life. Season 2 of the Dirty Lazy Girl podcast will provide lifestyle advice, lots of fun support, and practical tips to help you at home. Because you know what? You don't have to be perfect to be successful. Join us. You know, something that really surprised me along my weight loss journey was how I learned to take more and more risks. I became much more sure of myself and willing to try new things, which was kind of weird. For me, do-it-yourself projects were not about arts and crafts or home improvement. They really became opportunities for me to develop more self-confidence. I mean, yes, I lost 140 pounds, but at the same time, I learned how to build a website, install a ceiling fan, even how to record a podcast. So I'm pretty proud of myself. What about you, Tamara? Are you a DIY girl?
Yes, I love it. I've always been that way. And lately with the whole, coronavirus, stay at home thing, we've kind of been forced to do more of that ourselves. Like I found out that I didn't have any masks, and the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control is now recommending you wear one. So, and I can't sew at all. But I was able to DIY one, surprisingly, with no sewing skills. So, it's kind of forced me to do even more of that now. I think a lot of us are in that position because we can't just run out and get what we want.
Well, you're totally right. I mean, there's so many challenges. It's not like you can just whip out your sewing machine or, call in a plumber if something goes wrong.
Yeah.
We've got problems. So we can't just postpone our life, though. I mean, I know a lot of us are working on projects. People are getting married. People are writing thesis papers. People are trying to lose weight or get ready for a gym, a marathon. But you can't just postpone life, right?
Right, exactly. And you can't always count on other people, whether it be because of a virus or whatever.
Yeah, it's not like you can just have someone come to your house and fix your computer or whatever.
Yeah, sometimes you don't have the money either.
And you don't really want people in your house because of the virus.
Exactly. So it's a perfect time to talk about DIY.
I agree. I mean, there's so many more benefits beyond just making like a cute craft, right?
Yeah. And there's so much more you can do besides just making, soap or whatever. Not to say that that's wrong or bad, but it's actually well beyond just a cute little crafty, useless thing.
Totally. There's a lot of benefits. I agree.
Yeah. So instead of using quarantine as an excuse for not getting things done, it's time to get creative and learn how to DIY or do it yourself. By taking initiative to solve problems, you might learn a lot more than you'd expect. Today's DIY episode explains 7 benefits to doing it yourself. But first, let's take a quick break.
I'm going to do it yourself. That made me laugh. Well, today's podcast, Tamara, is brought to you by the all-new Dirty Lazy Keto. Get started losing weight while breaking the rules, which comes out on May 5th. And I want our listeners to know that it's 5 times bigger, but 5,000 times better. That's official. This book has everything you need to know to get started losing weight and keeping it off forever. Look for the DLK with the red dot on the cover at dirtylazyketo.com/books.
Okay, Stephanie, let's get started. Should you try DIY? Yes.
Yes, definitely.
We have 7 amazing reasons why you need to DIY. Do you want to do the first one?
I do. This first one this made me laugh, and it made my family laugh. Well, actually, I think they were a little scared. But the truth is, sometimes DIY forces you to be brave. I know I'm always afraid of making a mistake, so sometimes I really don't want to try to learn a new skill. I always want to do stuff I'm comfortable with. But DIY in quarantine, sometimes things are getting necessary. Like my husband and his hair was getting out of control, Tamara.
Oh no, you didn't do a haircut?
Oh, yes, I did.
Oh,
And it wasn't just my husband, my son as well. They were just looking shaggy and they didn't care because they're like, oh, we're at home. No one's seeing us.
Oh, that's very brave. I'm sorry.
I'm like, I'm going to give you a haircut.
Oh, how'd it turn out?
I was very proud of myself. I mean, yes, my victims were very scared because they were worried I was going to shave off, all their hair. But honestly, I did a good job. I had like a hair cutting, one of those shears, like for sheep or the dog. I don't know. And I think it turned out pretty good.
Oh, wow. You have to send me some pictures.
Maybe I will not post those.
I know.
Those are secret. Well, have you done anything brave now that you've been in quarantine that is like a DIY that forced you to be brave?
Well, it's so funny because when I was thinking for this podcast, I actually thought of something you did, Stephanie, that I feel like I should brag about.
What did I do? More haircut?
Well, no, I don't want a haircut. Thank you very much. But
I'm quite good. I take tips.
No, but like at one point you needed to redo the orientation for the keto podcast, and you were going to have to do it alone because we couldn't get together to do it and I couldn't set it up for you. And so you decided to do it all by yourself, which surprised me. So then I texted you and I'm like, okay, call me and I'll walk you through how to do it. And then the next text I got was, I did it all by myself. So you just like rammed in there and watched some, I think you said you watched some YouTube or something.
I watched this really old guy explaining it to his class and I listened to his YouTube like 3 times and I wrote down notes and instructions.
Yeah.
And it was painful.
But that was very brave. Like you just, to just plunge into something when you knew I could, I was right there to do it for you. But in a way it's good, right? Because you should know how to do some of this technology, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, what's so wrong with learning how to, edit a podcast or do a haircut?
Yeah.
Like, stepping out of my comfort zone, I mean, it made me feel really brave. And now the next big challenge that comes along, I'm not going to be so scared of it because I have a little bit more confidence under my belt. So I feel like that was a really good example of how, the quarantine has been a positive thing in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. And also a good example of just like being brave.
Just being brave. We gotta do things. We're dirty, lazy girls. We're not incapable. We can do anything.
Exactly. And you know what? The worst comes to worst. You didn't do it very well or you couldn't do it at all and you had to ask for more help. So what? Right. And
another thing, this one is kind of maybe on a negative note. Like the first one was all positive. Like, oh, look at me. I made haircuts. But number 2, this one's a little sad, Tamara.
Okay.
I feel like DIY sometimes helps me recognize when I'm making excuses.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I have to wait until, the quarantine's over and then I can do this. Have you done that yet? Like where you're postponing something because you can't call someone?
Yeah, actually, well, I've realized that I've been making excuses. This is a weird example, but
no, this is totally interesting to me. So what are you doing?
Well, I would take stuff to the dry cleaner all the time. And now that we're in quarantine, I can't, they're shut down. So I've had to it's forced me to look at the labels and go online and read, okay, how do I wash something that's, dry clean only or that's, delicate? And turns out it's so easy to do on your own. And half that stuff I was hauling off to the dry cleaner. I really didn't need to. It's actually forced me to realize I was just being really lazy.
That's funny.
Yeah, making excuses for, just not wanting to deal with it. So I just throw it at the dry cleaner. But, if I keep doing this, I'll save myself a lot of money.
Yeah. But it kind of caught you like, hey, I've been making an excuse. Yeah. I could totally do this myself. It's not that big of a deal.
I was just being lazy.
Well, I'm kind of right there with you, sister. I've been a little lazy myself. Let me tell you. When this first happened and one morning I drove to the gym and it was closed. So I'm like, oh, well, I guess I can't lift weights, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't have any weights. So,
Right.
I came home and I'm like, oh, that's kind of an excuse, right? And I set up like a little home area with a yoga mat and I've been doing stretching. But honestly, Tamara, it's been like, what, 3 weeks? I have not lifted any damn weights and my body's getting all flabby and I can just feel my toe. I know that sounds
Yeah.
obnoxious, but I can feel
Yeah.
my back and my arms. I'm getting like the bra flap, that like,
Yeah.
what I'm talking
Chicken
about,
wing.
right? The like
Chicken
little
wing.
the chicken wing in the back above the bra line. Like
Yeah.
all my bras are too tight. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
becoming a situation. I'm just being real. I got
Well,
my
and
boobs are sagging, my back, my bra's all flabby, and I don't know. I need to lift some damn weights. That's what I need to do.
well, it's also too like it does prevent osteoporosis, like having weight bearing stuff for
Yeah.
women as we get older. So it's actually health wise super good for us to do weights. And
Well, I just realized I'm making excuses, kind of like your dry cleaning,
yeah, so okay, have you found any like substitute? Because my sister had the same problem, couldn't find weights anywhere. She was at Target, she was everywhere, Walmart, places that were open, nothing.
Well, I'm hoping
So
our listeners actually might send me an email. I was hoping they
yeah,
might have some ideas because, I am
maybe.
being lazy. So I really just want them to tell me what to do. I don't want to go to Target and get Corona.
I
No
know.
Rona for me. Stephanie
I
is at home.
know.
No
Well, you
Rona.
can. I know you can fill up 2-liter bottles and use those.
I might just be a little bit lazier until the listener emails come in.
Okay.
I don't know if I really want to fix it yet.
Yeah, you have to be ready, I guess.
I'm not ready. I'll be honest. What's number 3? Tell me your number 3.
It's kind of related in that it's a little not necessarily negative, but you might realize your limitations when you do a DIY.
Ooh.
Yeah. So we might think we're a superwoman and we can do everything, but not every DIY is possible. And it's not always good for every person.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
You know what I
sometimes
mean?
we think we can do everything, but we can't. Like one time I walked in on my husband trying to install a ceiling fan in our bedroom, and Tamara, he was trying to hold the damn ceiling fan all by himself for like an hour while he was doing the wires.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you can't do that. He needed help. Like there's nothing wrong with doing it yourself with a partner. I was just wondering, have you found any limitations yourself?
Well, yeah. I mean, I had this like Martha Stewart idea. Like I was going to have this beautiful organic garden in my backyard.
How's that working out?
It's terrible. I mean, I found out, Stephanie, I am not a green thumb. I'm, I guess, a black thumb or whatever they call it. Like I can't grow anything. And what little things I grew, it was like so not worth the effort. I was out there watering every day because our summers, you have to water every day because it's super hot. So I'm weeding, watering, putting all this time, like all summer. And I literally got 2 tomatoes the whole summer. And I was like,
that's
oh,
frustrating.
yeah, I was like, gardening is not for me. Like some people, it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. No, I suck at it.
Well, yeah, I agree with you. Sometimes you have to recognize what your limitations are, and you don't want to feel bad about yourself. Like you don't want to feel like you did a garden and then you're a disaster because you couldn't make more than 3 tomatoes, right?
Exactly.
That's not good for you.
Yeah.
I know I've been feeling like I suck lately with this whole homeschooling stuff.
Oh God.
Tamara,
Yeah.
I am not a homeschool teacher. I am terrible. I've been fired as the teacher. My children are on suspension. Seriously, like it's pushed me to my limits. I've realized I get impatient. I'm trying to work from home and be a good mother and be a good wife and be a good homeschool teacher. And I can't do it. So
Yeah.
I've been hiring people to help me, like other teenagers, like from high school, to do things remotely on Zoom or whatever. But my kids need help with chemistry and algebra, and I'm past that. I don't know how to do those things.
No. So you just have to realize, what things you can teach at home and what you can't, and then just go with that.
Go from there. And I feel good about myself that I made a choice. I'm still feeling like I'm DIYing. Like I had to learn how to do Zoom and set that up for my kid.
Mm-hmm.
So I still feel like it was a DIY experience, but not one where I'm, screaming about chemistry.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm moving on to number 4, which is self-reliance. And one thing I found, Tamara, is that doing a DIY project, it makes me feel really confident about my ability to take care of myself and my family. And so the example I wanted to share with you is that I've been teaching someone how to cook since we've been in quarantine. Who is this person right here?
I'm Alex Laska, and I'm
Alex!
Stephen Laska's son.
So he wanted to tell you about some of the food, some of his favorite foods that he has been learning to cook while he's been at home. So here he comes.
I've been making fettuccine alfredo, cheeseburgers, and lasagna.
Can I come
It's
over?
been a lot of fun. We'll have you anytime.
Awesome. Yay, we have a guest speaker today. That was a total surprise, Stephanie.
Well, you know, we're trying to mix it up. Now that we're on podcast recording remotely,
Yeah.
I can surprise you because you can't see what I'm up to.
No, I had no idea. Oh my, and he's sounding so much older now.
Well, you know what? Just because you got a little boy at home doesn't mean they don't need to learn how to cook.
No, that's good.
I've got a teenager here that wants to be a professional chef. So we're going through all those favorite foods that he wants to learn in restaurants, or foods that he likes to order in restaurants, and then trying to figure out how to cook them at home.
Nice.
But it teaches self-reliance, right? Like cooking is totally a DIY.
Yeah, and it's fun.
Totally. What about you? Are you trying any self-reliance projects that make you feel like you can take care of yourself? And
Yeah,
your
all
home?
of them. I think that's why I do it, because I feel like a badass. You know, like,
You are a badass.
thank you. Because it's like, and especially, I don't know, maybe it brings out the little feminist in me, like, oh, you tell me I'm not good with, electronics. Watch this.
Mhm.
Right. And in fact, I take kind of a secret pleasure in being able to fix things that my husband can't.
Oh yeah.
Like
He's not on the call today, is he?
No.
He's not a guest speaker.
No, he might argue with me if he were here, but I fix leaky toilets. I fix a lot of, like, I was in a previous episode, I talked about my pilot light going out of my fireplace. The other day, my home alarm system battery went dead, and it was not an easy thing to change. You think, oh, just change the battery, but no, but I did it. I was totally proud of myself for that. So yeah, I'm totally bragging. And yes, that's totally why I do it. Half of it. I just feel really
I'm
good
very
about
proud
it.
of you.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of you. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I know. I'm thinking of something earlier. There was a situation where I had to split up from my vacation, or my family I was going to have to meet him on vacation, Tamara.
Uh-huh.
And I was scared about that. Like I thought, oh, I can't do that. My family would be flying separately from me. And Tamara, your advice to me was go do it on your own.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't go anywhere on my own. But you said that to me. You said you just get on that plane by yourself and you meet your family there, because I had a work meeting.
Yeah.
But I took your advice and it made me feel so good about myself.
Yeah.
Like I can do things on my own. I don't, I'm self-reliant, damn it.
Yes. And as women, I think that's even more important.
You're totally
Right.
right.
Because we're taught to be dependent. And, that's why DIY is so awesome. We don't have to be stuck in that dependent role.
Well, I know coming up, Tamara, number 5, my family, we did everything ourselves because we had no money.
Yeah.
And DIY, yes, it can be expensive if you're ordering, exotic, I don't know, ingredients or something to make a project or fancy stuff. But at my house, it was more like, hey, the faucet's broken.
Yeah.
Somebody fix it.
Yeah.
We didn't have money to call a plumber.
I think the second best thing. First is it makes you feel really good and self-reliant. But number 2, you save tons of money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've saved a bunch of money on those home repairs. Right. And also my latest thing in terms of saving money is I've been trying to do more homemade gifts.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. I mean, like the last one was for my daughter's birthday party. We made most of the party favors.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, we did. She did slime.
Of course.
Yes. So that was really cute. We decorated little jars, and then she made some homemade little cookies and treats to put in there.
I didn't get one. I wasn't at
You had
the
to
party.
be 14.
I guess I have to be 14. Dang it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, speaking of my son, who was just on the podcast, yesterday I called my son in to help me because my internet went down in the house. Well, so I thought. And I was just about to watch my show. Like I'd done all my work. It was my break. And I love to eat my artichokes and watch my TV show while everyone's gone. And the damn TV wouldn't work. The internet wouldn't work. So my teenage son, he saved the day. I was about to call a technician, honestly, because Alexa told me to. She's like, call the 800 number. So I was going to schedule an appointment for someone to come out and fix it. But my son did it in like 2 seconds.
Nice.
Yeah. So, it doesn't have to be DIY just me. I can DIY, make the children help me.
Exactly. And also YouTube. Oh my God.
Ooh, YouTube.
They answer everything. I don't know. They're like
The whole
DIY.
world.
Yeah, exactly.
And with video, which helps me a lot.
Yes.
And Wikipedia is another one I like, but you're right. The YouTube is especially helpful.
Yeah. I mean, before you call those 800 numbers, I always go straight to, the kids and then to YouTube.
Totally.
Yeah.
Gotta have backup.
Well, our sixth reason for doing DIY was about priorities. So weirdly, DIY helps clarify if something was really necessary in the first place.
Oh, I do that for sure. Like for months I've been doing my nails. I'm not really a girly girl, but I was doing a bunch of those TV shows, where I was cooking. And so they actually required me to have my nails done for the zoom in shots when I was on like the Today Show and NBC's WFLA, because they'd zoom in on my ugly fingers with chip nail polish. So I started getting my nails done regularly, which whatever, it's kind of fun. But since we've been home with COVID, I just was like, I don't care about this. Like, honestly, I have no interest in maintaining this. Yes, I could paint them myself, but I just don't care.
Yeah. And you've realized that by just dropping the whole DIY thing. Yeah.
It's like, yes, I can do it myself. It's easy to paint your nails or whatever,
Yeah.
But just my priorities, that's not really important to me.
Yeah.
Does that happen to you at all where you're kind of forced to face if you have to do something or not?
Yeah. And some people, by the way, who love doing their nails, like good on you if you want to do it. But it does, make you realize when you don't necessarily need it. Well, I have an example, but mine was from work because I was publishing an article, and the writing part of research is so tough for me, and I angst and I stress over it. And a friend had suggested that I go hire an editor rather than do it myself. And what was that?
I said, that's fancy.
Yeah, and that's what I thought. Oh, that sounds expensive and time consuming. So I always said no. But the last article, for whatever reason, I gave in and I didn't do it myself. And I went to an editor, and Stephanie, I was just kicking myself saying, why didn't I do this before? It took out so much stress for me. And they were so helpful, and they spotted things that I didn't spot. And it was like, okay, I've been DIYing this and I need to stop.
So I like that, because that's like an opposite example where it helps clarify, hey, you got to put some money in this area because it's important to you and your work. Yeah. And it's your career.
Exactly.
So, yeah, you're worth it, man.
Woman. I'm worth it.
You're worth it, woman.
Yeah. And sometimes the stress also is worth it. Like, I could do it myself, but it's so stressful. I don't know. It just felt like a form of support that I was denying myself.
Yep. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Well, our number 7th tip, and this is our final tip for all the listeners out there, is that I think all of these are great examples of how DIY helps you to really be a role model for your family, whether it's, with your spouse or your children. But when you're doing a DIY project or just prioritizing something like you just shared, Tamara, I think your family looks at you like, hey, look at her. She's making good choices. I can do that too.
Yeah, it's awesome, especially our daughters too. Right? Like, but also, when I do something myself, it role models to my kids that they can do stuff for themselves too. Like they don't have to be dependent on other things. And I've been working on this because I am a little bit too quick to go to my kids when technology isn't working for me.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, I gave that example.
No, and
I want to watch TV. Dang it!
I know
the internet work.
I know. Well, my kids are getting to the point where they roll their eyes when they see me coming because I'm constantly like, "What? How come I can't get this video running? And how do I don't download this?" And so I've been making a point to do it myself more, just not go to the kids. And I'm able to do it like 9 times out of 10. So I feel like I'm role modeling for my kids. What I want them to do is not be so quick to just run for help and without trying on my own first.
That's a fabulous example.
Yeah.
Gold star to you. Well, I was thinking so many things, but one that'll probably make you laugh is social media. I know with my kids, they just really get sucked into all that, right? The TikToking and the this and the YouTube. And I'm trying to be a role model to them. Like, hey, I can figure this stuff out too. They're trying to learn how to do videos and how to post. And so instead of like, just because I'm like writing a book or something doesn't mean I know everything. So I'm trying to learn as I go and research things online, just like you said. And you have to be brave, learning these skills. It's like overwhelming. It's stressful. Putting yourself in a video, it's hard.
It's really hard. But you know what? The kids are watching. And when they see you do that scary thing, or even if you fail, don't you think that's good for them to see?
Well, that's kind of why I wanted my son to come on today. He's a young guy. So all the young kids, they all want to be TikTok stars and YouTube stars. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, come on the podcast. And he's like, oh, I can't do that. There's too many people out there listening. And I'm like, well, what do you think I'm doing? And he says, I don't know what to say. And I'm like, well, I don't either. So I feel like I'm trying to be a role model by trying and going after my dreams and trying to figure out podcasting and trying to figure out social media myself so that they can also, if that's their dream, that they could go after it too.
Well, maybe that's why you got him to get on the podcast. Like
I tried.
That was brave of him. And he was probably like, if she can do it, I can do it.
That's right. That's our 7 tips.
Well, listeners, let us know what DIY has taught you about yourself. Tell us your story by emailing Stephanie at dirtylazyketo.com or via Facebook or Instagram at dirtylazyketo. Before we get to our personal favorite hacks, let's take a quick last break.
Well, today's episode is brought to you by the new book, Dirty Lazy Keto, Get Started Losing Weight While Breaking the Rules, which comes out on May 5th. So this isn't just a book about what to eat. More than half of the book shares practical tips and strategies to help you overcome challenges that you will likely face during your weight loss journey. There will always be obstacles. Today, it's COVID, but tomorrow it could be a job loss, relationship changes, health problems, struggling with illness or grief. It's always something. So if you need help and you are ready to get some new skills to overcome these challenges as it relates to weight loss, give it a read. Dirty Lazy Keto, Get Started Losing Weight While Breaking the Rules.
Okay, so now it's time for our favorite hacks. What's yours, Stephanie?
Well, my favorite motto, this is totally the opposite of my husband's. He likes to try to do everything right. But I don't. I just say done is better than perfect, which is kind of sloppy, I guess. But for me, when I say that to myself, I feel less scared about starting. I think starting is the hardest part. Once I start anything, my determination or my stubbornness definitely takes the lead. An example is that I built the website from scratch, dirtylazyketo.com. It's not fancy. It's probably got major problems, but I think I've had more than 500,000 visitors to the website this year alone. And I built that sucker all by myself.
Nice.
Thank you.
Nice.
This old lady can learn a few new tricks.
And, you got those millions of people on there all by yourself.
I did it all by myself. Nice. It may not be perfect. It's done though.
But you know what? It's never perfect anyways.
Yeah. And I'm happy with that. Like I feel so good about myself that I put that together and put the information out there that I wanted to share. I didn't have to work with anyone else or a team or hire people. I can update it whenever I want and post blogs and share my thoughts. And that was my goal. My goal isn't to be fancy and be perfect. My goal was to get the information out to the people who needed it. Nice. What about you?
My hack is to research before you DIY. So what we don't want you to do, especially after hearing some of our DIYs that weren't necessarily right for us is that you don't want to get too impulsive about it. So I'm not just trying to discourage you from DIYing. I'm just like, be a little bit careful about what you're going to do. So for instance, you know, the research you could do was, let's say if you want to do a remodeling project, you know, good on you if you can do it, but you have to have the skills, you have to have the time, you have to have the materials, you know. So I would research like Home Advisors or Angie's List or one of those to find out, first of all, how much a professional would charge. And sometimes you see that and you're like, oh, I can afford that, and just forget the DIY. Or you can look up, you know, what's needed, what's a realistic time frame, and then make a decision before you jump in. And even if you hire someone, there are things that you can do yourself, DIY, that will save you money. Like you can rip out the old tile and the cabinets and save some money before the professional comes in. Same with materials. Like just one example is my daughter and I decided to make homemade candles, which was fun. And they turned out cute, but oh my gosh, Stephanie, we spent so much money. Like it was way cheaper to just buy a candle. So
most expensive candle ever.
Oh my gosh, it was insane. So I was like, you know, and that's fine. Like if you want to pay extra money to do that, good for you. But afterwards, I was like, oh, let's find a less expensive hobby, and you know, where we're still creative and having fun, but not spending $40 on a candle.
Right. So just be financially cautious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good one. Well, listeners, we don't want you to put your dreams on hold just because you're home on quarantine or any other time you feel stuck at home. It doesn't mean you can't make progress. Sure, your DIY might be slow, might be sloppy, but the benefits of learning how to do things yourself extend way beyond the project itself. So give it a try. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dirty Lazy Girl podcast.
And don't forget to visit dirtylazyketo.com, where you can join the conversation and gain access to all kinds of free content to help you on your dirty lazy journey.
If you enjoyed today's podcast, consider supporting us by subscribing, rating, and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts.
Be sure to stay tuned for our next Dirty Lazy Girl podcast, where we give you even more tips and support.
You don't have to be perfect to be successful.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.